Quality number 14. When I look at leaders, I find that they're very good at problem solving. Your ability to solve problems is a quality that you really want to develop. John Foster Dulles, who was the former Secretary of State, said, "The measure of success is not whether you have a tough problem to deal with, but whether it's the same problem you had last year." The issue is not the size of the problem. The issue is it a continual problem? You see, if it is, it's because you have never really solved it. And leaders with good problem-solving ability demonstrate 5 qualities. Number 1, they anticipate problems. They have the ability to sense and see and anticipate problems. A few years ago, when I was in the heart of Africa, I was able to go to Victoria Falls for a couple of days. And to see the falls was a pretty amazing thing. But what also was amazing is we went back in a little bit into that interior area, and I was able to visit a couple of sites where David Livingstone, the great explorer, lived and literally opened up Africa. He's just one of my heroes. And I have in your notes this, because this is so good on problem solving and what do we do with problems. David Livingstone, the missionary to Africa, illustrates the kind of attitude leaders need. A mission organization wanted to send helpers to Dr. Livingstone, so its leader wrote, "Have you found a good road to where you are? If so, we want to send other men to join you." And Livingstone replied, "If you have men who will come only if they know there is a good road, I don't want them. I want men who will come even if there's no road at all." You see, if you keep your attitude positive but plan for the worst, you'll find yourself in a good position to solve problems that come your way. Number 2, they accept reality. Good problem solvers accept reality. You see, people respond to problems in 3 different ways. Number 1, they refuse to accept them. I know people that just says, "I'm not going to accept the problem." Number 2, they accept them, but they accept them as the victim. And they say, "Okay, I got problems and woe is me." Or thirdly, they accept them and try to make things better. Now, obviously, you want to get into category number 3. And what I want you to do is understand reality, and reality is life is tough and there are problems. That's just the way it is. Paul Harvey said, you can tell you're on the road to success. It's uphill all the way. And when I run into people who say, "You know what, I love what's happening right now. Things are just kind of going on their own." Can I tell you something? When anything runs on its own, it's coasting. And it's going downhill. Trust me on this. Well, boy, I just want to get my company to the place where it just runs on its own. Boy, I just want to get my people where they just produce on their own. Wake up. Get a life. That's not the way it is. So you've got to come to a place where you accept reality and just understand that's not going to happen. Number 3, problem solvers see the big picture. The ability to see the big picture. The majority see the obstacles and only few see the objectives. History records the successes of the latter while oblivion is the reward of the former. Number 4, they handle one thing at a time. Oh, that's good. Richard Sloma has this advice: never try to solve all the problems at once. Make them line up for you one by one. I was in the IMAX theater recently with my family, and we were seeing the Lewis and Clark expedition. Boy, was that powerful. 2.5 year, one of the great happenings in America. 2.5 years of Lewis and Clark with a group of people trying to find a waterway all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And all the problems they had, the Indians, the disease, the mountains. I mean, and the thing that impressed me the most about Lewis and Clark is that they realized that as they explored and went west, that they were going to run into a series of problems, but they said they determined to take only one problem at a time. So if the day it was to deal with the mountains, you just dealt with the mountains. You didn't worry about the Indians till you got there. You follow what I'm saying? And they just took one problem at a time. Number 5, problem solvers don't give up on the problem when they're discouraged. They just realize that discouragement's part of life, and you just can't give up on it in that period of time. Or my friend Bob Christian, who until this year played fullback for the Atlanta Falcons. Bob Christian said, "I never decide whether it's time to retire during training camp." George Matthew Adams stated, "What you think means more than anything else in your life, more than what you earn, more than where you live, more than your social position, and more than what anyone else may think about you." Here's the statement. Every problem introduces you to yourself. It shows you how you think and what you're made of. You can measure a leader by the problems he tackles. He always looks for one his own size. Many years ago, in fact, when I wrote my first book in 1979. It was a book called Think on These Things, just 100 pages. 33 chapters, okay? Get the picture. 100 pages, 33 chapters, 3 pages per chapter. In fact, I was signing books recently at a conference, and a lady brought up my first book. I don't know where she got it, probably at a garage sale somewhere. Okay, hello. And she said, "I love this. This is your first book you wrote." "Oh, yeah, it was." She said, "Would you sign?" I said, "I'll be glad to sign." She said, "You know what I love about the book?" I said, "What do you love about the book?" She said, "I love the short chapters." "Oh," she said, "that's so good." She said, "It's just like 2 and 3 pages each chapter." She said, "That's ingenious." She said, "What made you think of doing it that way?" I said, "Lady, it was my first book. I had 3-page chapters because I didn't have anything else to say. In fact, it took me weeks sometime to do 3 pages. You don't understand how bad I was. You follow me?" And we just had a big laugh about it. But in that chapter, or in that book, I had a chapter called Plan Ahead. Because you see, back in 1973, when I realized that if I was going to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish as a young man, really way over my head, kind of already in situations that were bigger than me, that I was going to have to learn how to plan ahead. This is great problem solving, so let me give you the acrostic of how this works. Because in my book, Think on These Things, I wrote a chapter concerning problems and how problems can be solved. The letter P stands for every problem is a predictor. In other words, problems do not leave you or me the same. Are you with me? They always move us one way or the other. They either make us better or they make us bitter. Problems are predictors. The letter R stands for the fact that they are reminders. They're reminders. They remind us that life is tough and that we're probably going to need help along the way. The letter O stands for the fact that they're opportunities. They have huge things to teach us if we let them. In fact, let me say this. Every medicine that you and I take for our health today is because somebody previously had a problem. The letter B stands for blessings. If you look at life, you'll understand that really problems teach us more than successes. The letter L stands for the fact that every problem is a lesson. So what we need to do is look at problems and not fear them, but to stay long enough to learn them. The letter E says that problems are everywhere. I got problems, you got problems, we all got problems. Isn't that true? It's like the kid in college who flunked out of college and was kicked out, and so he sent an email to his mother, said, "I flunked all my courses, been kicked out of school, prepare Pop." Got an email back from his mom, "Pop prepared, prepare yourself." The letter M stands for the fact that problems are messages. They certainly are. They're like signals on a dashboard. They basically tell you what's happening. And the letter S stands for the fact that every problem is solvable. With enough people and enough time, you can fix your problems. And great leaders are problem solvers.